grounded practice here. Our goal is to reset and explore, finding a good seated position here. Our 4 variations of seated pose: Vajrasana, which hopefully you can see it. Vajrasana is with our knees essentially on the ground, through the shins, through the feet. Some people do like to come up to the toes. You're going to have a much heavier stretch, especially in the arch of the foot there, so you can take that form if you'd like. I always recommend a block underneath the seated form here, just to let that sacral lower spine naturally curve, finding this form. From Vajrasana, we can go into our Sukhasana, our cross asanas. And again, I do recommend being up on a block. So this is another seated form. You can, of course, have the legs just crossed. You can have the legs halfway if you don't want them entirely crossed. That might be a little softer there. Half forms are more than acceptable here, whether it's one side or the other side coming up. Dandasana, I do not recommend having a block in. If our legs go long in Dandasana, this form here, the legs go down and you can hyperextend the knees. So I do recommend coming to the floor if you are in Dandasana. However, taking a block underneath the knees, even halfway up, can be nice. Just to again relax here. And again, you can take half forms here. Just stay away from pressure on the knees. Holding around is nice. Padmasana, would not recommend. Padmasana, I would say, is our advanced form. So if you do take Padmasana, remember we want to see the pads of the feet, our locust pose. I recommend taking one leg and maybe even giving it a little hug, making sure that your tailbone is nice and down, sit bones are rooted where they feel comfortable, and then hugging that leg up into that inner thigh, the foot, heel especially, we'll just find that inner thigh. Maybe you just go halfway. If you do go full way, again, I recommend be cautious. This is a deeper practice. It should not be forced. You should be able to move those feet when you are in this form. Breathing wherever feels good, whatever pose is your pose. As we find our breath and yoke that breath into our seated form here. We're going to take a mudra of unshakable trust. Unshakable trust is a very, very simple mudra. Taking the fingers, interlacing the fingers together entirely. We're going to keep that pinky area connected as we open up to the index. So you get this kind of almost pyramid from the pinkies as the base, thumbs wide, and then thumbs are going to come to the outer clavicle of our chest. And while pinkies are pressed down to the chest, the index finger opens up. This shouldn't be, again, forced beyond comfort. It should be a stretch in the hands. Elbows down by the side, shoulders up and back, and finding your breath through the nose. Letting the nose condition the breath as it comes into the body. Lengthening that breath that is comfortable, and we will go through box breathing, holding this mudra as long as it feels good, or any other variation. We'll use our mind's eye to imagine the breath coming up our receptive side of the body, preferably the left. We'll hold the breath at the top for an even amount of time. We'll release the breath down the dominant side of our body, and we will be empty, holding that breath for an even amount of time. Bringing that breath in, up the dominant side of our body, holding the breath along the top, and breathing it down the receptive side of the body. If you're going faster or slower, being empty, Good. Follow your breath's pace. Breathing in again, up that receptive side of the body. Holding along the top. Breathing down. Being empty. Using the mind's eye to imagine going up that dominant side. Maybe it's the right or the left. Your choice. Holding. Releasing. Being empty. We'll go through 2 more rounds at your own pace, no narration. Settling, being more present wherever you are in your space, in your time. You are welcome to hold this mudra or any that you'd like, or just relax the hands as we go from that air, that vayu, our personal prana, into drishti, our sight, that fire, that agni. We're going to start at the top with our eyes only, looking down with the eyes, going side with the eyes, to side with the eyes. Just the eyes moving. If the body needs to move or wiggle, you got an itch on the nose or the toes, please itch. It's okay. This is a practice. Breathing though, coming back to the form and letting the body know this is for the eyes, that element of fire. We're going to reverse into the opposite direction just with those eyes. Try to calm the body, slow the breath. This linear form of start and finish with our gaze, always crossing through that center path, breathing fully, releasing entirely, and meeting up at the top. Full circles now. The circle's slightly different. I always want to move my head with the circles. If I do, I just bring my attention back to the eyes. The eyes wrapping around the brain and through the brain with that nervous system. The nervous system connecting to the entire form of our body. Stretching the eyes, stretches the body. Meeting at the top and reversing to the opposite. Just whatever way you are going, you want to give love to both directions. We stare at cell phones, we stare at computer screens, TVs. This is a great way to open up our awareness. Breathing, last one here. Nice. Taking the palms of the hands and very gently massaging the brow bone up and out. We're not pushing on the eyes, we're pushing around the eyes, up into the forehead, the hairline, the temple, softening up all that opening around those little oculuses. Breathe. Maybe you just want to hold the hands and just let the warmth of the hands soften those spaces. So from the friction of air, we get fire. From the cooling of fire, we get condensation into water. So coming to a tabletop, we will go through a modified vinyasa of a sun salutation. Very, very simple here. We'll settle into our hands just underneath the shoulders. Give the elbows a little spring. Make sure that they're soft, that they're not rigid and tight. Maybe roll the shoulders a couple of times. We don't want the back arched. We also don't want the chest dropped. We want the shoulders wide. So when we take a deep breath into the chest, we can feel the widening of the chest. Down through the legs, knees knees are generally stacked around the hips, and feet may want to turn in. Try to keep them in line with the shins, just pushing down through the shins and the tops of the feet so that we alleviate pressure on the knees. Maybe you just give a couple of twists in the hips here, finding that fluid form of our body that is so much of our being. More of our body is water than any of the other tathas. Just finding a nice fluid form here before we come and settle back in tabletop. And as we breathe in through tabletop, we'll tilt our tailbone and we'll gaze up with our eyes. As we breathe out, we'll slide our tailbone back into a child's pose, arms long. As we breathe in, we'll slide those arms up, sitting up slowly, finding that breath around our form, breathing up and around, blessing ourselves as we breathe out, down to heart center. As we breathe in, finding the floor again, sliding forward, very gently dropping that belly, natural in-breath, out-breath, 2 cats. Tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone. That is our full sequence here. Let's repeat it. Breathing in, finding that fluid motion, finding a pause. As we breathe out, we go into the trough of the wave. As we breathe in, we come up to that crest, really finding the full flow as though our breath is upon the ocean that is our body. Move the body in as we come forward, sliding the hands, dropping the belly, looking up, tailbone, breathing out, tucking the tailbone, chin down. Beautiful. One more with narration. As we breathe in, again, we drop everything, open up. As we breathe out, we go deeper. As we breathe in, take everything from that ground, bringing it up, around, and then bring that breath back out to bless us. Again, bowing down, taking in the earth, and releasing. We'll do 2 more at your pace, no narration, but breath. Find your breath. Find your form. Let them dance together. Beautiful. So that Surya Namaskar, that water flow, that sun salutation settles into the earth. You can find a block again if you'd like. Otherwise, sitting again in whatever seat feels comfortable. If you are taking a half seat, so if one leg is lifted, just be aware that whatever we do on one side, we're going to try to do on the other side. So as water settles into the earth, we go through Sushumna Nad, the staff of our spine. That staff is going to root into the earth. So finding that nice form here, deep down into the earth. Breathing up through that spine. Maybe you feel the breath stack from the pelvic floor, through the belly, up through Uddiyana, and then up into the chest, into Jalandhara. We release the belly, we release we release, softer. Finding that breath, we're going to go through just simple neck pulls here. Taking one arm up and around as we breathe, around through the head. The other arm is going to go down beside us if we can. Shoulders are going to be leveling as we breathe out. We just let the weight of the arm come down. We're not pulling, we just let the weight come down. That hand that is down to our side, or maybe just sitting on our lap, if the shoulder likes to fall forward, roll that shoulder up and back. Keep this nice side bend just in that shoulder area. Again, this is a bend, it's not a crease. Breathe 2, breathe 1, and on an in-breath, helping that head back up so that we're moving with intention. Opposite side, again, whichever side you're on, reaching down. As we breathe in, we grab that head. And we're not pulling, we just let the weight fall down. Very gentle movements here. Again, if that shoulder wants to move forward, maybe you externally rotate the hand to keep that nice grip. You can always have hand on the lap too if this is too much of a stretch through the neck or the arms. But we find the stretch in the breath. The deeper the breath, and then release, maybe settle in. One more good breath here. Not an in-breath. We're going to help that head back up. Even though the head could do this by itself, we just like that little bit of intention here. We're going to drop the attention down a little lower into our clavicle, into our sternum, our throat. Shoulders may roll forward. Try to keep those shoulders back and in line. We're going to drop just our chin to the chest. Again, hands may be on the knees or beside us. Breathe here, couple breaths, just locking that throat space. Jalandhara. And when you are ready, on an in-breath, roll the ear of your choice to its shoulder. Nice deep breath. As we breathe out, chin comes back to chest. Again, breathing in, rolling that ear to the opposite shoulder. One more time on each side. Follow your breath. If you're going faster or slower, good. That means you're listening to your breath, your teacher. Nice. On this next round, as you breathe in entirely, you can roll that head the full way around. If that is too much on the neck and it feels a little bit more like a back bend, try to just bring the head up through center. You don't have to turn that head entirely around. Going into the opposite direction at least 2 times on each side, breathing either fully as the head goes back, or maybe you just want to bring the head up in through that very nice half. Finding your stretch for your body, led by your breath. Coming back to center and sitting back up. Nice. Gentle spinal twist. The spinal twist can be done in multiple fashions, so please find your version. Maybe you want Dandasana and you're just going to hold one leg up in. Maybe you do a half seat here and you're holding up. Maybe you're just going to sit in Vajrasana, that's okay too. If you want to go into the deepest form here, we will take that leg that we're bending up and over, and of course you can even take this leg around. Please make sure your seat bones stay down, both of your seat bones. We really want that spine, that staff to be rooted in the ground. We're honoring Bhumi here, we're honoring earth. So holding that knee in wherever it is, wherever it feels comfortable, breathing. We are going to bend our spine, twist our spine to the bent knee side. So staying up long through that head, we're only going to bend from tailbone to lower ribs to start. So maybe holding that knee, nice, tall seat, maybe hand finds space behind us and lifts the body up. And on an out breath, twisting gently. Make sure your shoulders feel in line with each other, that they are a nice plateau. And on your next out breath, you can twist through the chest. We're not again trying to twist the head yet. We're approaching this in 3 separate points. On your next out breath, turn the head as comfortable as it feels. If you feel as though you are shrinking in any of the twists, come back a step, take a nice deep breath, hold that length on the twist only to that point where you can keep the length of the spine. Breathe. Find your form. Feel that beautiful twist as though it's drilling into the ground, and that ground is giving you stability to rise up taller with your breath. When you are ready, untwisting just the head space first, then the shoulders when you're ready, and lastly, that belly space. And again, wherever you were, the opposite is what we want for that support. Pulling that leg in. Again, if you're in just a half pose here, you can find all variations that work for you. One side may not feel the same as the other, and that is okay. Setting your body up, make sure you're setting up tall first. We want to make sure that we are rooted into the ground with that spine. We're creating towers out of our spine here. And when you're ready, maybe using the hand as support on the floor. Maybe you're hugging your leg in. Just avoid pressure on the knee again. Breathing, rooting. When you're ready on an out breath, twisting in that belly space. The Mula Bandha, that roots through the tail, and then Uddiyana Bandha, to fly upwards through that diaphragm space. Nice twisting in the shoulders. And then lastly, again, if you want to go deeper, we twist the neck. And again, if you're shrinking, come back, rise up through that crown, and then turn on your out breath, keeping that nice, beautiful length. Breathe. Let that spine be drilling into the ground so that the spine can help lift the body up long and tall through the breath. Releasing back again, head first, then more chest area. Lastly, the belly. Honoring those 4 beautiful physical gross tattvas: air, fire, water, and earth. Finding a good seat of your choice. We're going to go into what I would recommend as your 3 get up in the morning exercises here. These are very simple to do. Anyone can do these. When you get up, you wake up, you go to the side of your bed, let your feet just hang off the bed, and you're just sitting there. Maybe your feet touch the ground, maybe they don't. But you are sitting on your bed. You're going to find that nice seat, whatever feels good. And then we are going to take our nice first beautiful breath of the day, opening the spine, flexion and traction with the spine. As we breathe out, we're going to exaggerate that spine, breathing out and hugging the body in, chin to chest, rounding the spine. Again, nice in-breath, open, hello universe. And then you tell the universe as you embrace it how much you appreciate it, how much you love it. For better or worse, it is here for you. You breathe in again, taking in what it has to offer. You breathe out and you hug in everything that has offered you. Breathing in, finding this beautiful movement of the spine flowing with your breath. You're going faster or slower, that's okay. Maybe changing the grip of the arms. Preferably about 8 good breaths is nice. This nice, almost spine movement. It's very snake-like with the spine moving. Beautiful form. Feels good to you. Couple more. This beautiful forward-backward movement in the spine. And now we're going to go side to side. Keeping the hands down by your side. Again, your shoulders might want to round forward. Pull those shoulders back. And then as we breathe in, the opposite arm that you're bending towards is going to support you as the other arm reaches up and over. Nice deep breath here. Breathe out, come back down. Maybe looking under that lifted arm. Maybe you come all the way down to the forearm. If we do, again, we're not bending forward. We're keeping open in our chest. Looking forward with the eyes, if not gazing up to that third eye point, can really help to keep our body from falling down. Find your breath if you're going faster or slower. Good. If you're halfway asleep in the morning doing this, your eyes can even be closed. But if you feel yourself falling forward, even with the eyes closed, gaze up. Give a good 3 to 4 more at your pace. Finding that in-breath on the side. Out-breath through the center. In-breath on the side. Out-breath through the center. In-breath. Out breath. Coming back to center. Last one of these 3 get up and goes. You can have your hands down by your lap and you can have the hands on top of each other. Again, preferably you are holding that dominant hand. If your hands are able to be separate, keeping just index finger and thumb together, open hands. And if you can, roll those shoulders up and back so that it's almost as though you could balance the tabletop here. If you're leaning forward, again, pull those shoulders back. As we breathe in, we're going to move to one side, so we're twisting the spine here. As we breathe out through the center, and then again in through the other side. This is that last beautiful spinal movement when you get up in the morning. This is the third that you could do just on the side of your bed. It would take you less than 5 minutes, but it will really get self-awareness and that hugging breath to the universe and that giving breath to the universe, that nice side to side, and then this beautiful twisting all around us. It's normal again for the body to want to fall forward. Keep those shoulders up and back, and especially if you're tired in the morning, you can have the hands lower. Just don't let the chest fall. Keep that spine nice and up as though there's a thread on top of your head that your higher self is just holding you up by. Just reconnecting in the morning with your body and your breath. It's so much nicer than the snooze button, I promise. Do this just 7 days in a row. Will be in awe. Maybe 1 or 2 more rounds wherever you are. Finding that nice breath. Beautiful. And then coming back when you are ready to center. I'm going to do a couple of hand exercises here. These are just very simple. So with our hands, we do so much with them. Taking one hand in front of us, and I say hi hand. When we move that hand in front of us, we can feel the shoulder move forward. That's okay to start. You can do this standing, but very simple in sitting. I'm going to reach around with my other hand and grab that thumb. And then as I grab that thumb, the hand that is grabbing the thumb is going to move to the middle ring finger space because that ring finger has some extra muscles around it that the other fingers just don't have. And you can even re-grip that thumb if you want. So the goal is that you're really just holding the hand. We're not trying to twist the hand. We're going to breathe out and drop the chest, drop everything here. And then as we breathe in, we roll the shoulders up and back, and the elbows will be forced upper arms, your delts, maybe even around the triceps. And we have that nice open chest. Breathe through the belly, breathe up into the chest. We breathe into the lungs, and oxygen from the lungs to the heart not only charges the blood, but the heart is kinetic. It is electricity. So not just blood is flowing down our arms, and we can feel it in those upper arms, but electricity. Pure energy. Keeping that nice bend in the elbows. When we're ready, we breathe out, we release. Again, to the other hand, hello hand. We reach around, we grab that hand. If you do lots of computer work or writing, this is great. We hold that hand, we open that thumb that's holding to the middle ring finger. And if again you want to re-grip, you can re-grip. We're not trying to again twist the arm, we're actually dropping, breathing out entirely. And then when we breathe in, we let the shoulders round up so that the shoulders can soften. The shoulders guide the elbows into their perfect spot, and your hands should be loose. You should be able to wiggle those fingers so you feel that nice deep breath in your chest. All that energy transforming in your heart center, moving. You should feel it in that upper arm especially. So if you have hand issues, the hand is connected to the arm. This is a great way to soften a lot of that tension before it reaches your hand. Breathe. And then again, release back down. One hand comes up in front of us for this next puzzle piece. Again, shoulders try to stay back and level. Other hand is going to come in front. It's like a little puzzle piece. And then we're going to very gently, with that thumb, push that thumb pad out. When we do this, the shoulders naturally want to be uneven, and you might want to straighten that arm. Roll those shoulders back, level them out, and when you do, that extended arm will want to bend. Let it bend out a little. Let it be soft. Prana, energy, chi moves better through bent, soft, open joints than locked, hyperextended joints. Yes, this can be a good, powerful stretch, but we want gentle stretch here. Maybe even massage that thumb pad. When I first did this, I was always like, uncle, oh, it hurts. And I don't want it to hurt. I want it to feel good. Breathe, maybe those fingers are loose. One or two more good breaths, and when you're ready, release the hands. Again, the other puzzle piece, one hand comes in front. So setups can always be a little uneven, and that's okay, because as we breathe out, we're finding form. As we breathe in, we're finding form. Both in and out breath can tell us where we should be if we are listening to the breath. So as I take that deep breath, if my shoulders are uneven, I can feel one side might be fuller than the other side. I even out the shoulders, and they're more even. If the elbow is straight, maybe I'm having a lot of force and tension. As I roll those shoulders back, that elbow softens. And your hands, of course, can add a little massage to any pose you want. Let your hands be part of the healing process. Breathe. 2. Breathe. 1. When we are ready, releasing. We're going to come into deer pose here just to start. Deer pose, you can choose either side. I am not strict on one side or the other. But we're just going to drop our weight down to one side to start. And as we do this, one leg is going to come a little bit further back. So you should feel like you're almost creating a box with one leg in front of you and then one leg behind you. You can plantar flex, which is going to be probably the most force here. If you dorsal flex, you can sometimes lift up a little further, but it's not about lifting up here. It's really about giving weight into those hands that are now going to be on the side of your body, supporting you. And really, as you come down, you don't have to come all the way down, but you're feeling that nice length. Maybe you can twist the chest entirely to the floor here. If you can, be gentle. Some people like to come all the way down. And again, we're not creasing or collapsing the spine. We're breathing deep into that pelvic floor, massaging our kidneys, massaging our intestines. If you do go deeper, just make sure that spine is long. Breathe 2. Breathe 1. We're going to keep our legs where they are, and we're going to wind back to that leg that is closest to us. And as we lift up, our back leg is going to shoot back behind us. Maybe it's a little crawl to get back there. You can always use a block here to support that lifted thigh on the leg in front of us. This is okay to have that beautiful block here. Your front leg can be bent back, and that is okay. If you do have the front leg more in front of you, please make sure that you can drop the hip entirely to the ground wherever you are. Your back leg is shooting straight back. Maybe it's got a little soft bend, but it's not turned sideways. It's not bending sideways at the knee because our knee does not bend sideways. So wherever we are here, maybe we humble our pigeon down. Maybe we raise it up. This is supposed to be gentle for you. So again, blocks are really lovely underneath that front thigh, allowing you maybe to wiggle through the hips a little. Find your breath 2. Find your breath 1. Beautiful. We're going to take our hands to the floor and just lift up that front leg, maybe through a little tabletop as we find our belly down. Coming down, we'll just lift the spine very softly for a couple of breaths. Hands are going to come beside our shoulders, if not beside our face. We don't need them all the way back. We're not doing full presses here. Hands are going to stay glued to the floor as elbows come in. Neck is going to go long. Somebody again is pulling us through that crown of the head forward. And on an in-breath, we're going to pull the mat towards us, lifting just baby lifts here. We're not trying to crease the spine. We're trying to lengthen the spine. The spine will round as we pull forward. Deep breath into the belly. Deep breath up into the chest. Maybe you can feel those fish gills. Maybe you feel like a walrus here. It's okay. 2 more good breaths. Nice strength. Feet long behind us. Maybe legs pushing into the mat. Separated is okay. Together for more strength. We drop back down. Beautiful. We're going to rise up, placing one hand in front of us, just about a head's length in front of us. The other hand is going to slide underneath our chest. And as it slides underneath our chest, we're not going to let our chest become uneven. We're going to keep our shoulders level to the mat as the hands crawl further away and we go softly down. The hand that is underneath us stays level to our chest. Shoulder may want to inch up to the ear. Keep those shoulders back and down. And when you're ready, settle. If you notice in your settling that you're twisting, use that hand that's in front of you to keep a little pressure down and height. Breathe. 2. Breathe. 1. Very gently pushing the body back up. Nice. Replacing the hands. One again is now where the other was. Replacing as we go down. Arms stay long. Shoulders are level. Lengthen those arms out when it feels good to you, as long as those shoulders stay level. If you start to feel that twist, push a little more into that hand in front of you. Lift up. Make sure that arm that's threaded underneath of you is nice and soft. If it's twisted around, it's okay. If you can have palm to the ground, you'll have more stretch. Your breath will tell you if you are where you need to be, because it is hanging out with you. It's coming, it's going. It comes back. When you're ready, very gently pushing that arm back up. Arms are gonna go long beside us. And as we do this twist here, it's for our shoulders, just the opposite. We want to make sure our shoulders are not crunched up. Our shoulders are back and down, and our arms are in line with our shoulders or below. Do not let your arm crunch up. With one hand of your choice, preferably leaning towards the side that you started, the opposite hand is going to come to your chest, lifting by pushing gently against that long arm side. Maybe you only come up a little bit. Maybe you have that leg that is in line with that hand pushing as it opens the body up more. Maybe you raise that hand that's been pushing up high. Maybe it comes behind you. Again, these should be gentle stretches, not forced. Breath is coming and going. It is just being a good friend, supporting you. When you're ready, coming back. Very gently turning to the opposite side. Hand that was supporting is now long. Long hand comes up towards the chest and just pushes back over, making sure that those arms are nice and balanced. Chest opens first. Maybe that leg kickstands or comes behind us to help. And when we are ready, just opening in breath. You do not have to open that hand. Just that nice gentle kickstand with the hand feels good. Find your breath. Let it come. Let it go. Breathe 2. Breathe 1. Beautiful. As we come back down here, push back up through a gentle tabletop, finding the opposite knee coming towards us, entering back into pigeon. And again, pigeon does not have to be the same on both sides. That block really does help underneath your seated front leg. This can just give a nice little setup here as you find that back leg in line, as maybe you find that nice movement into your pigeon, finding your variation. When I first started in pigeon, I just had my thigh and I was always sitting on my foot. And just this little wiggle back and forth can feel good. If you find movement in your pose, that is a sign of Kundalini being present. Your willpower, as you find form, Kundalini will hold it up. Kundalini is that beautiful double helix that wraps around Sushumna Nadi, that spine, that staff that we've already rooted and grounded down. Let those two beautiful little coils move. Breathing 2. Maybe exalting or humbling. Breathing 1. Coming back up. And as we come back up, we just sit to that side. Our back leg is going to come up, and we are already in line for deer pose. So again, deer pose does not have to be rigid. It really is just creating this half box with our front leg, and then that lineup of the box with our back leg. Maybe you can sit down a little deeper. Be careful with that knee, because the knee, again, does not bend to the side. As you go deeper, you can start to come down. I know some people who will twist the full way around, and that feels so beautiful on your obliques. Otherwise, lifting up, making sure your breath is lengthening that spine through the crown of the head. You're going to do those. Couple more beautiful breaths. Maybe that nice deep in-breath. You feel those inner abdominals, those inner obliques. And then And when we're ready, very gently coming back up. Hugging our knees in as we come down for recline. Keeping a block good and nearby us. We'll use this a little later. Just rolling down gently. We're going to do a little bit of added strength here. So just letting you know, you do not have to follow entirely. This is gentle, but we're going to give one little bit of force here. Just to start, we're going to hold one knee up of your choice into the chest, and the other leg, wherever it is, it's going to find a long floor. Heel is going to be pushing out into that floor. The leg that is up towards our chest, we are going to straighten up towards the ceiling, but first we want to make sure our tailbone is down, both hips are down, and that the leg that is on the ground is actively down, dorsal flexing, pulling those toes up towards the knee helps. So as we start to lengthen that leg that is bent in towards us, it does not have to shoot straight up. Holding the thigh for support, dorsal flexing its feet as well. You can plant or flex and play if you'd like, but dorsal flexing is creating this idea that we are standing. So imagine if we were flipped upside down. This is our warrior three pose, and we really want that warrior three pose nice and strong. Breathe here. If the knee is bent, that's okay. If you can straighten all the way, that's awesome. Last little bit of effort here. If you can keep that leg up and extended as the hands come down beside you. Maybe pushing from fingertips to shoulders so that we soften the spine. Breathing here, finding that beautiful breath. This is our warrior three, but inverted. We're going to very gently hold that leg that is up towards us. And we're going to do reclined dandasana, taking that grounded leg and bending it up towards our chest. Both feet are going to be long, but tailbone is going to stay down. So if the feet are going long against us, but our tailbone starts to lift, bend the knees, plant the tailbone back down, keep those hips down as we begin to straighten the legs. Now here's where the strength comes in. These are reclined meat hooks, or let's call them potato hooks for yoga's sake. So hands are going to come beside us to the ground. You can bend the knees in for this if you'd like, but you want support in the hands from fingertip to shoulders. And we're going to very gently bend ankles and knees glued together. We're going to twist, just bending down to one side. And then we're going to breathe in, back up through that center. We're going to breathe down to the other side. And you can see why we call these meat hooks or potato hooks. If you've ever done these in aerial, this is beautiful strength building. If you do not get all the way down to the ground, it is okay. These are challenging. Find your breath. Do not hold your breath. Let your breath flow with you. Maybe 3 or 2 more wherever you are. You can feel how the arms through the shoulders really help with holding the body up. You should be exploring abs you did not know you had. And when you are ready, coming back to center, lengthening those legs. Maybe just one more time up to the ceiling, and opposite leg is going to come down now. That sky leg can bend in towards the chest during the setup. Rounded leg goes long, pushing through that heel on the ground. Flying leg is going to come back up. And as flying leg comes up, maybe you're just supporting the thigh as it straightens. Dorsal flexing both feet will really help with extension. It is normal to find quiver zone here. It's okay. If you find that your hips are lifting, come back. And again, find where it feels good. You're engaging entirely through the legs. If you want to go deeper, hands come beside you. And you can push onto the ground. This leg is not as as flexible as the other leg, obviously, and that's okay. One side and the other side, they are siblings, not twins. Observe them for their strengths and hold and support them through development. Breathing, holding, breathing deeper if you can, pushing through those heels, maybe a little deeper still. Breathe 2, breathe 1. We're going to take that leg, bend it up into the chest. Opposite leg is going to come up into the chest as well. Holding those knees in, giving them a little extra love. Yes, breathe 2. Breathe 1. Opening through the hips with a little extra strength here. Feet are going to come down near our tailbone. Knees are pointing up. Our feet are going to be about hip distance, so about 2 fists. Knees are going to be the same. We're going to come up into bridge pose here, but as we prep into bridge, know that when we come up, if knees flare in a little or if knees flare out, try to keep them together in that same line with your heels. If they do start to come in a little, that's okay. This is an open hip posture, so the more you can keep them in line, the better informed. Hands coming beside us, prepping from fingertips all the way up to shoulders. The full arm is engaged into the mat down. Just a couple times, push down with your arms and your hands, and notice how the spine lifts a little. So this is the idea. As we push down, actively engaging through the shoulders to hands, we can take the weight off of our neck and our head. We do not want a lot of weight in our neck and our head. Feet, same, engaged from tips of toes to the heel. Once we are engaged, we're going to lift the tailbone on an in-breath. Maybe we lift up a little more on our next breath through lower back. Maybe we lift up even more. Maybe even more. Maybe chin has to start to come to the chest to soften that neck. That's okay. We talked about the block that was near us, because the block we are going to take either on low setting or medium setting. And you're just going to slide that block underneath your lower spine, right at that sacral space. And you're going to rest the spine down, those lower hips down onto that block. This does not mean that you have stopped being active in the feet. Now you can readjust. Where are my knees? Where are my feet? Are they in line? Yes. Are my hands active and engaged so that my neck and my head are gentle on the floor? Yes. Breathe deep into the belly now. Breathe up into the chest and feel how that lifts the spine. Let the neck be gentle. Let the chin fall into the chest. Breathe. Find your beautiful breath here. Settle in. Full, beautiful breaths, lengthening the spine. Breathe 2. Breathe 1. You can stay here longer if you like. This is such a beautiful pose. Otherwise, we're going to lift the hips very gently, removing that block. And we're not going to drop the spine. We're going to gently roll from that upper spine down, middle spine, maybe hips, and lastly, tailbone comes down. We're going to bring the knees up to our chest, and you can hug in the knees, or you can go into happy baby here. Peace fingers around big toe, or maybe just hands around the side of the feet. Rolling, breathing, wherever you are. Bending that opposite way. Now reclining the feet back down near the tailbone. We're going to open up into our bound angle or reclined Supta Baddha Konasana. So we're going to take a block if you'd like, 2 blocks underneath the thighs as they open. That is an option. Otherwise, just let the knees fall out, feet come together, and again, if hips feel a little uncomfortable or if knees feel a little uncomfortable, you can always brace blocks underneath the thighs. You're going to hang out here and just settle in, breathe. If you can, pull those toes, dorsiflex them just as comfortably as they'll move, open, like you're opening a book. Settle in, breathe. Breathe 2. Breathe 1. When you're ready, bringing those knees back up together. It should feel really nice now. Keeping knees and ankles glued together. We're going to have our hands down by our sides as we lift the hips over to one side of your choice. You're going to lift the feet now over to that same side. So it should feel like your spine is just curving off to one side. Keeping the knees and the feet together, we're going to drop the knees across our middle line, so towards the opposite side. And again, keeping those knees and keeping those ankles together. If you need support with a block underneath because you feel like it's just falling too much, you can. Otherwise, just let the spine twist and realign into that straight form. Keeping the knees and the ankles together will lengthen the spine. Shoulders stay down. Maybe you look in the opposite direction that the knees are bending, continuing that twist. Breathe 2. Breathe 1. On an in-breath, opening back up, just bringing those knees up. Nice. Feet lift up, come to center. Hips lift up and come to the opposite side. Feet lift back up and join on that opposite side. Now again, knees and ankles have to stay together here so that we keep those hips in line as they bend across our midline. One of my favorite twists. The key here is to keep those knees and ankles glued together. Breathe. The deeper you breathe into that pelvic floor, maybe you'll get a couple beautiful pops here as long as it feels good to you and you are working within your capacity. Pop away. Maybe you look in the opposite direction. Just give your breath as much attention as it gives you here. The breath is always loving you, that spirit always present. Maybe one more good breath, and when you're ready on an in-breath, lifting those knees back up, lifting hips back to center, feet back to center, and when you are ready, one leg goes long, followed by the other leg. Settling into Shavasana, your corpse pose here. Close your eyes and just lay. Just be, wiggle, twist. Anything that comes natural is okay, but then settle back in. All practice is movement. Even on the tiniest atomic level of our form, movement is constant, coming and going. So to be still, to observe and breathe. close out this practice, I'd like to offer the mantra Om Gate Gate Peragate Perasom Gate Bodhisaha Te Bodhisaha, which means to go to the other place of the enlightened one. Question where your breath goes. Where does it come from? Where does it go back to and then come from? That place Bodhisattva, the true self in the breath. May you know whenever you observe your breath, you are observing the Atman. You are observing the Christ consciousness, the Buddha consciousness. That which all the great avatars have sought for, and you are no different. May your breath always bring you peace. May your breath always bring you joy. Outside of you, there is a breath with joy and appreciation. Welcome in that breath, feeling the sensation in the tips of your fingers, maybe tips of your toes, maybe the tip of your nose. Subtle movements, the anima, the simplest form. Your next breath, feeling the connection from fingers to hands to arm to body, from toes to foot to leg to body. From nose to knowing, the animus, the observation of the form. Breathing in deeper, maybe stretching out long with the arms above our head, or maybe wrapping the knees up into the chest, hugging in the entire form, being aware of the entire form. The space in which the form is being observed is observing. The anima or animus loci, your sacred space, your sacred form. Maybe using one of your biceps as a pillow, rolling to one side, gently pushing the body around through tabletop. Spine is the last kind of twisting mode as head sits up on top. Last form. Coming up. As we set into our pose here, please be aware of that breath. Be aware of it coming and going and always being present. Maybe outside of you, maybe inside of you. but always there for you, always there with you. You're always welcome to join in as we close with 3 ohms, or please listen with your mind's eye, breathing in fully, releasing entirely, breathing in. Shanti, 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 peace, peace, peace. Namaste. For coming and sharing such a beautiful class. Mahalo.